I think there are tremendous opportunities in investigative journalism now for young reporters because there are a lot of nonprofit centers forming. There are a lot of entrepreneurial organizations forming. It's also possible to do news on your own, and I think we'll be finding some people that are going to make a living as freelancers and sole proprietors. And so I think it's a great time actually to be doing this journalism. It's just an uncertain time on what's going to be stable and what the new business model is going to be.
So in other words, there's plenty of opportunities, plenty of technologies, but is there enough money?
I think there's enough money out there because people want information. I think journalists haven't thought very much about money because there have been a lot of monopolies and a lot of places you can work and go up the ladder methodically over the years. And so we really haven't had to be entrepreneurial in a business sense. So there is money, it's shifting, and there's always money for good information.
Journalists making the right use of resources that are already out there?
I think they're learning to. There's a lot of resources out there that we miss. For years, journalists didn't get enough training to learn how to move around the digital world. They did not get enough training on how to use databases and do the most basic analysis. They've been getting that, they're getting better at it, they're teaching each other. There's just a wealth of information out there.
I find it interesting that you say that people are teaching each other because in many cases, in many markets, they're actually in competition with each other.
Right, but I think the big word, particularly in the US, and I think it's going globally now, is collaboration. I think in bad times people tend to collaborate a lot more. They still compete, but they collaborate more than they compete. I ran an organization for years called Investigative Reporters and Editors. It's still around. Its concept back in 1975 when it was founded was that periodically journalists get together and teach each other, and when they're working on stories they share information, even sometimes when they're competing.
Can you tell me a bit more about the Ujima project?
The Ujima project is the brainchild of a former training director of Investigative Reporters and Editors who's now a great reporter at the New York Times, Ron Nixon. He specializes in the use of databases as tip sheets or context for stories. So he and I also became aware while training in Africa that there were a lot of US databases that could be used by African journalists to report on their own country. So he's been uploading databases to this website and making them easily searchable. The really exciting news is there's more funding for the project so that it's going to go international, and Ron's going to get a lot of help from other people.
And if you're following big business, you mentioned a resource that's unused.
Yeah, and it's amazing because everyone knows about it. It's called the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, SEC.gov. And you can go and look at all the corporate filings of multinational organizations, corporations, and you can find in their annual reports litigation. You can find they've been charged with Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. It's a gold mine for any investigative reporter. And I did not mention yesterday, which I should have, which is there's something called 10kwizard.com, which makes this information even easier to use for a very small fee.